Boy, I know you fucking lying. If you don't get so insecure. What's up, little enzymes? Welcome back to Daisha's Digest. The topic of today's video is going to be about crazy exes. Exes gone wild, if you will. All of the stories have updates and all of the links will be included in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into the video. So the first story I actually came across on Threads. I thought it was very interesting, so I'm gonna read it. It was by a user, Chantal Mueller 84. Hopefully she doesn't mind me reading this, but I'm assuming not because she put it on a public platform. So she says, so 4 years ago, I was told a guy I had dated, actually my first love, had passed away. I remember going to the church, but then walking away when I saw the look his mother gave me because yes, I was not invited. His siblings had contacted me via Facebook, so I thought it would be okay for me to go. I saw the casket, but I didn't see him. This isn't even an effing joke because I am really feeling this heaviness in me now. This man, who is supposed to have been RIP, just messaged me on Facebook. Imagine somebody who you love so much, like going through the tragedy and the pain of having them gone forever, and then years later they message you. I would be thinking I'm going crazy. Like, is this a ghost? Like, what is going on here? Has somebody taken control of his account? Like, so many questions, but let's continue. She said, he saw me while I've been on holiday in Brazil, but thought it was my doppelganger. He had been told by certain people I had married and left the country. We literally live 10 minutes away from each other and have probably been passing each other on a regular. I know I've been seeing his ghost everywhere. We video called and it's definitely him. He's still in Brazil for work and I'm on my way home to our country. I told him I'm still single, and he told me he has 2 kids and is married now. I am having a panic attack typing this. I'm not home yet. I'm waiting on another flight. He told me he got married after he was told I'm married, and the funeral I went to was his grandfather's. He saw me, but I ran away so quickly he figured my husband was waiting outside or something. I feel like my life is just one dang Mission Impossible after the other, like a Star Wars trilogy that makes no sense, and I'm sitting in an airport trying not to cry. This is my first time actually reading this, but I'm getting a little fake red flag because if they were together and then he passed away suddenly, how would she already have been married to the point where she was bringing her husband to the church where the funeral was? So something about that timeline is, maybe they had been together like in the past. I don't know. Something about that part of the timeline is a little shaky, but she said, I don't even know what I'm asking for. I just have no one else to talk to, and I don't think I can talk to him because he's married with 2 kids and I'm not his wife, and there are so many things and so many questions, and the people who did all of this must really be so effing hateful. And I just don't even know where I'm going with this. Other than that, I loved that man and romanticized him for years. I waited for him for 14 years, but he is married, and that is a bond I will not have a hand in breaking. At least she got some dignity. And I need a hug, but I literally only have my son waiting for me at home. No family or really close friends, and I feel like I can't hold myself together here because why? I'm wondering the same thing. Someone said, wait, what? How did the siblings confuse their brother for their grandfather? Did they have the same name? Even so, they should have contacted you and cleared things up. This doesn't make sense. Someone else said, so you went to his grandfather's funeral and thought it was his funeral? Another person, to be honest, even if he did show up at your doorstep a year from now saying he's divorced and available, I wouldn't go for it. The whole family was against you 2 being together. Who knows the lengths they'd go to keep you apart? I say good riddance to a potentially bad family. You dodged a bullet. And OP says, I agree wholeheartedly. It took talking to him again for me to just let it go. Maybe it was the experience of the ayahuasca too. But I'm not okay. Ayahuasca, I believe, is some sort of like mushroom psychedelic drink thing, from what I know. But I'm not okay with him talking to me now. He's married and that's it. It's done for me. It was a big shock, but it's like, it's really just gone, because why try to talk to me now and you're married? When you thought I was married, you didn't bother. I'm not a side. I don't even want to imagine how his family would treat me now. No, thank you. Somebody straight up said, you're lying. Another person, so sorry that happened to you. I will say though, when you marry someone, you marry their family too. They sound incredibly toxic, selfish, and immature. You would have potentially dealt with that type of toxic influence while married to someone who already struggled with boundaries. Everything happens for a reason. Your person is out there. She said, thank you. Yes, I believe my person is out there, and his family were incredibly cruel towards me when we were together. Those 4 years were so painful when I think about the reality of what it actually was. His mom always trying to get him with another girl, taking other girls with them on family vacays. They just didn't like me. He was what I needed back then, but definitely not even someone I can have as a friend now. I cannot be friends with a married man, especially not one I was intimate with. Hey, at least she has the right idea, because some women would not care at all. Someone said, or you misheard who the funeral was for? She said, no, they told me he OD'd and he did have issues with substance abuse. One of the reasons things ended between us. His sister even visited to tell me they were so sorry for everything. Dang, so really the whole family was in on it. That's crazy. There's been so much deception going on for so long. It's just all unbelievable to me how people can be this way. But it is what it is now. I've blocked him from contacting me. He's a married man with kids. I just needed to vent and talk to someone. Someone said, I am so invested, but also I'm sending you healing and love because what the F? Why would his family do that to you? She said, money. I was wondering that too. My thing was like, do they just really not like her to where they didn't want them to be together? But maybe, I don't, she said money, so maybe the new girl had money. Anyway, I think that's it for that story. It came across my Threads feed the other day and I was like, yeah, I gotta do this one on the channel. Also, we do have our own subreddit. So if you guys have any stories that you want me to read on the channel, you can add them in there. Now, there's no guarantee that I will choose what you put, but I do, want to open it up if anyone has any requests. So the link is in the description. So let's go to the next story. Ex-girlfriend opened electric and internet accounts in my name without my knowledge a year after we broke up. Now they've gone to collections and my score dropped 300 points. She told me grow up and pay them off for her. I'm sort of lost on what to do here. My ex-girlfriend ran up a little under $2,000 in electric and internet charges. From what I can tell, she opened the accounts using my name and social security number about a year after we broke up. I hadn't spoken with her that entire year and she never had permission to do this. I only found out about the accounts because I went to buy a car a few weeks ago and the finance department of the dealership showed me a copy of my credit report. The interest rate I was going to get was so terrible, so I held off. They told me my rate would drop significantly once I got the accounts off my credit report. I ended up challenging both accounts with all of the credit bureaus, but none of them took it off, all saying they need more information. I left my ex several voicemails telling her she needed to contact the companies and confirm she open the accounts. Why do they need more information? If there's electric accounts in an address that he doesn't live, dang, that's crazy. If there's anything I have learned from some of these recent Reddit stories, make sure your credit is locked up. Even if you don't think someone would do something crazy to you, make sure you run a check on your credit and prevent your social security number from being used to open new accounts, because the amount of stories where people do this is crazy. They say she finally left me a voicemail telling me to grow up and just pay the accounts off, because when we broke up, she had to leave my house. I finally got to talk with her on the phone and said that wasn't my problem, and she just said, "Looks like it is your problem," and hung up. I haven't talked to her since. I'm kind of stuck on what to do now. She has no intention of taking responsibility for the bills. Did you record the call? You have a voicemail. You said she left a voicemail, so you should be able to give that to the companies and do something with that. The very first comment left the website that I've seen in a lot of these credit fraud threads, identitytheft.gov. I cannot vouch for the website, but I do know that if it is a .gov website, it's probably okay. And so that's where a lot of people go to report identity theft. And I think there might also be resources for you to like lock up your credit so that nobody can use your social without your permission. But OP responded and said, "I just did this over the phone. I got a report number that I'm going to be giving the bureaus." Great. Someone else said, "Go to the federal website about identity theft. There are letter templates. Send them to all the actual creditors, not just the credit reporting agencies, and keep all letters from them forever. Zombie debt is a real thing. I helped a friend of my daughter's clear up where his mom used his social to run up credit cards. I had it all cleaned up in a week. Oh, and do not sign any letters. Some shady places will forge or copy your signature to documents." Dang, but that's some good advice. Alarmed Penalty said, "This and only this is the way. Screw her, report her, and use the voicemail she left you. And before you report her, see if you can get a 100% recording of her admitting to opening them." Yeah, that's the route that I was thinking of going. Other people are saying report it to the police. It's identity theft. Freeze your credit. So then 2.5 months later, he had an update. New update, ex-girlfriend opened electric and internet accounts in my name without my knowledge a year after we broke up. Now they've gone to collections and my score dropped 300 points. She told me to grow up and pay them off for her. So I took the advice of several people from the last thread and I went to the police. I made the report and they were pretty helpful, telling me exactly what I needed to say to the credit bureaus to get the accounts off of my credit report. It worked perfectly. Both of the accounts came off of my credit and my score shot up. I went ahead and got my new car at the end of June, which was awesome since I really needed it. Well, great. That is a great update. What was probably inferred in the last post, but not explicitly stated, is that my ex is crazy and so is her family. I got a phone call from the same police department Saturday night when I was out of town. Multiple people had broken out every window of my new car and almost every window of my house. My neighbor saw what was happening and called 911. The police arrived and ended up catching one of the two breaking windows. The other one jumped into a car, which just so happened to be the exact make, model, and color of my ex's vehicle, and sped away. They tried to pull it over, but it took off, and they stopped chasing after a couple of blocks. According to the police, there was a piece of paper in the window, probably a fake temp tag. The guy who was arrested is a friend of my ex's brother. I got to see the neighbor's surveillance footage and two people get out, go up to my car, and start breaking the windows. It's not good enough quality to make an ID based on their faces, but the clothes match the one they caught, who also had a torch lighter with him. A torch. All this because someone is blocking you from defrauding them. So then you go and destroy their property because they won't let you ruin their credit and use their social without their permission. And the fact that her brother and brother's friend are just down for this, like, yeah, like he said, the whole family is crazy. They were literally busting out every individual block window for my basement windows, which is probably why they got caught. They were there for about 3 minutes before the police showed up. I was told my ex refused to speak with them, and her car, which was in the driveway, had her normal plates on it. Oh, so I'm guessing the police went to her address. I'm sure she put them back on after she was done. I said I wanted the guy they arrested prosecuted. He was released after about an hour and has a court date in a couple of weeks. I'm literally scared for my life right now. I have a company that came by and boarded up my house windows. Insurance is supposed to be coming out today, but I'm staying at a friend's house for the rest of the week. I'm most likely going to sell my house. It's literally not worth it to me. My bet is that the police questioned her about the accounts and she decided to get revenge. My work is remote anyway. I've been thinking about moving for a bit, but a state or two away, especially if I rent for a year, should be good. So yeah, there's definitely bad with the good in my case. I wish I had got it sooner, but it never crossed my mind to check my credit every so often. Even with insurance, I'm going to be out more than $2,000 due to the damage to my car and house, and the guy they caught looks to be in even worse financial shape than my ex. Lessons learned here: 1, check your credit. 2, don't stick it in crazy. Oh man, oh man. I pray I never have a crazy ex. I could not even imagine. I'm the same as him. It's not worth it. I'm selling the house immediately, moving, locking up my credit. Shoot, I'll even create a corporation to put the house underneath so they can't try to track me on the public records and find out where I live again, because somebody like this, I feel like they have the capacity to do something crazy like that. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Am I the a-hole because I call my psycho ex's unrelated child my naughter? Buckle up. 15 years ago, I was 25 and I was finishing my contract, and my then girlfriend of 3 years, Natalie, was acting increasingly strange. I came back from a 2-month assignment and was prepared to break up with Natalie. She came by and gave me the good news that she was pregnant. I asked how far along she was. She said 5 weeks. So I broke it off with her and told her she needed to do better math. She refused to break up and insisted the baby was mine. So I told her the following: 1, paternity test. 2, if the child was mine, we can talk about financial support and custody arrangements with lawyers. Okay, seems reasonable. She refused both and told everyone we both knew that I was a deadbeat for knocking her up and leaving her. I told everyone I was on a 2-month assignment when she conceived, but a few insisted for the sake of decency, I house her and give her limited support. No, that's not his job. She need to go to whoever she got knocked up by for housing and limited support. Thumbs down. down. Child was born and not even going to do the whole she didn't look like me, because most babies are born with squished faces, and all I saw were the pics she sent me with messages like, Emma wants to know where her daddy is, and crap. She still refused to take any paternity tests, but her constantly showing up with that baby got to the point where I filed a restraining order. Fun fact, in my state, a permanent restraining order is not, in fact, permanent. It is 2 freaking years long. The only way I get it longer is if there was a violent crime associated. And apparently, bugging someone with a baby that's not theirs is not a violent crime. So my life for the last 14 years was me renewing the restraining order every 2 years, because once it clears, Natalie shows up again with my not child. Do you know how crazy you have to be to, I wonder if she has like a calendar alert or something like, oh, OP's restraining order just not done. All right, Emma, let's go. Like, to consistently harass this man for 14 years and then bringing her daughter along with the shenanigans? Like, that poor kid. Oh my goodness. I did eventually find a nice girl, get married, and now I have a 9-year-old son, Henry. My wife, Kim, is well aware of Natalie and Emma. When the cycle begins again, I always say the same thing. 1, paternity test. 2, once paternity is proven, I will take custody and get financial support set up. Natalie always refuses and says both are insulting. How is that insulting, ma'am? Recently, the cycle started again, and this time Emma showed up first. She approached my son during a school event, a visit to the zoo, and said, "Hi, I'm your big sister, Emma." Henry knows about stranger danger and ran away to a teacher. I had to have a very, very painful talk to the teachers and parents that were at the event about my relationship with Emma and Natalie and how Emma was never my daughter. I even called her my naughter once or twice in the conversation. After the group disbanded, one of the mothers confronted me and said that while Natalie was in the wrong, telling this poor child I was her father, calling her my naughter was mocking the situation. I kind of get where she's coming from. Just, I can't help this child. And the honest truth is, playing light of the 2-year cycles is the closest I can get to finding peace in the situation. And then he has an edit, and then I'll go to the comments before the edit, but I don't think he's being the a-hole. I mean, as long as he didn't say it to the girl's face, which I don't think he did, he just said it as he was explaining it to the other parents who were there. It literally is not his daughter. He has no connection to this child whatsoever. It's just some random ex from back in the day who is obsessed with him. Like, he has no obligation to this child whatsoever. So I don't really see anything wrong with what he said. And I'm curious as to why the other mother in the group is just so invested. And nah, that's weird. The comments before the edit. What really bothers me here is that a restraining order was in place, but Emma was confident enough to know she was approaching the right kid. That's a good point, because that means she's stalking or something on social media, something. Madness XD says, not the a-hole. At some point, it becomes draining, and the little girl is going to need some serious therapy after everything is said and done. Why don't you go to the courthouse and make her do one so it can come to an end? Opie said, because Natalie does not consent to it, and she said she's not seeking any sort of court-ordered support, so the court just shrugs and says, get a protective order. Ches2202, have you considered reporting your ex to CPS? She is emotionally harming her daughter. She is telling her that you are her father and don't want her, and she dropped her off at the zoo to find your son and tell him that she is his sister. If you report this along with the constant restraining orders, surely CPS would intervene and at least interview her daughter to find out what else she is being brainwashed with, and interview your ex as a potential danger to both her daughter and your son. The fact that she is following your son should be enough to take further measures. Opie responded, before Emma was involved, we had no reason to contact CPS. And again, delving into Natalie's home life with Emma could have been construed as a type of contact, which makes getting a new restraining order much, much harder. We need to know where to send the summons. That's it. Loves Carrots says, you could get a court-ordered DNA test. Her claims are slanderous. You could take her to court to prove paternity. That's true. They have paternity court. And people go on there many times. But she probably wouldn't answer the summons to go to a paternity court, so that might be a moot point. But OP responded, Natalie has long since stopped calling me out for being a deadbeat online. She prefers to show up in person, asking if I want to meet our daughter. The last time, the cops confronted her about this, and she claimed that she only wanted me to act as a paternal father figure to her child. It really depends on the cops that show up. So I'm wondering if there's a part of her that really knows that LP is not the father. I just couldn't imagine having to deal with this. Literally 14 years. That's 7 restraining orders because he has to renew them every 2 years. And what happens when the daughter turns 18? It's right around the corner. It's been 14 years. The daughter is either 14 or 15 now. Could he get a restraining order then? Will the harassment stop? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Dapple Turnoff says, not the a-hole. I can understand why someone would think that this is callous, but it's your business and you have every right to use humor to try to deal with it. Don't say that to Emma, considering that she believes her mom, and that would be pretty rude. Now, the burning question, how did she find Henry while he was on a field trip? Opie said, we suspect Natalie befriended a mom at the school and got a class schedule, then dropped Emma off at the zoo to be with her brother. Since we are unrelated, I have no idea what school Emma goes to or who Natalie's friends are. We are being very reactive to the situation, but because there are children involved, my lawyer said that that's the best we can do, and any type of investigation into Natalie beyond where to send legal paperwork could make it seem like mutual contact and hurt any future restraining orders. Oh, goodness, this is insufferable. So his edit, to answer the repeated question, in my state, the mother has to start the petition for the father to be established and the test to start. There is no instance where a father can start the petition. There was a chance to do this when Emma was born, but the window was exactly 1 month, and I was much too focused on the restraining order, not thinking the paternity angle would bite me in the butt. That's crazy. So fathers cannot initiate a petition for paternity? How does that even make sense? One last time to everyone saying, just ask for custody. That'll force DNA testing. It literally can't be done. I've been through this enough with a lawyer and have consulted with other lawyers. There are laws protecting children, and a lot of them exist for a good reason. I'll explain it the way my lawyer explained it. Imagine there's a woman that ran from an abusive ex. She finds out after she's escaped that she's pregnant. She gives birth. She never puts the ex on the birth certificate. She never tries to file for support because she wants to get as far away from him as possible. He finds out years later and tries to rope her back in using the child as leverage. She can just say no, and the state has to let it go. There is, however, a provision if the father was involved enough to know when the birth was, that he could submit his DNA to the state within 31 days of birth as a potential father, but that time has long passed. The law is designed this way on purpose. In the eyes of the family court, I am a random person and I was never claimed to Emma. If you think the state wants all children to be claimed by fathers and will gladly submit any DNA test whenever any potential father shows up, find a random single mom, call the family court, and say you want to claim her child. I am tired of everyone acting like all I needed to do was fill out one sheet of paper and this nightmare would end. Please, just call a lawyer for a free consultation or post on legal advice and ask them. It doesn't work that way. Okay, OP, we get it, sorry. Oh, this is a nightmare though. Just some random crazy ex that you broke up with just suddenly pins you as the wannabe father. Okay, here we go. Update, am I the a-hole because I call my psycho ex's unrelated child my naughter? Got off the phone with my attorney. We have a preliminary hearing on the new restraining order this week. We will most likely be issued a temporary restraining order, and then after that, another hearing for the permanent restraining order. CPS is investigating Natalie and Emma's living situation. The teacher's report held a lot of weight, and my lawyer thinks that this might actually be a way to end the madness now. In family court, for minors, there exists something that's like a temporary court-appointed guardian, I think the term is guardian ad litem, who is only a guardian for legal purposes and procedures and decisions of such, including for medical. If the court appoints such for Emma, we can ask this temporary guardian for the DNA test and get this put to ground. That's a loophole if I ever heard one. The madness might actually have an ending in sight. Adding here, I feel like I need to explain the relationship I had with Natalie all those years ago. When I got back from my 2-month assignment, I was already dead set on breaking up with her. Her, "Oh wait, I'm pregnant," was never going to make me marry her. In fact, I doubted she was pregnant for several weeks. The last year of our relationship, several red flags appeared in her behavior, ranging from demanding I check in with her while at work, only hang out with friends with her present, extreme bouts of jealousy if I ever seemed too friendly with women, including waitresses. I was in a line of work that demanded me being away for long stints, which she hated, but also kept me out of her reach for long periods of time. I think it was halfway through that last year, I realized that when I was away, I did not miss her. In fact, I was relieved to plop into a cot and fall asleep after long hours of work without thinking about her. When the pregnancy turned out to be real, I made it clear that with a paternity test, I would pay support, split custody, and be a co-parent and nothing more. She wanted me to be her husband, no questions asked. No test, just pure blind faith and devotion to her and the child. Oh my goodness. The test, she insisted, was insulting. There was never going to be a relationship, and there was no relationship to salvage with Natalie. On the advice of the first attorney I hired, the deal was no test, no contact. Sounds like good advice to me. Wow. So Crazy Eagles are saying hopefully CPS will be able to intervene on Emma's behalf and get them both the help they need. The Crown and Anchor says that poor girl, she'll grow up either believing OP to be a deadbeat dad, or she'll grow up knowing the truth and knowing that her mom is trying to game the system and get money from a guy that is not the father of her child. I don't think that's what she's trying to do. I don't think she ever mentioned that she wanted money. She said she just wanted the father figure for her child. But anyways, either way, she's going to have a lot of stuff to work out in therapy one day. Frankly, I can't believe OP does not have any legal recourse to force a paternity test. You'd think there'd be one judge who was so annoyed with the constant restraining orders that he would have ordered a paternity test to rid the court system of this BS. Oh, a man in black says she only has to win a concession once to get child support garnished and start getting his wages garnished. That's why she's doing it. She thinks she'll get a payout for back child support and other benefits of his military pay and pension, insurance, etc. OP said this angle is actually very likely. I will bring this up with my lawyer. Also, good guess on the military pension. Ah, okay, because he travels. I see. So he's in the military. I see. Produce Chick says, I have a non-related DNA question. So do you think that maybe the friend who said you shouldn't treat her badly might be the father? He could have been trying to get you to feel bad while trying to cover up the affair they had. And Opie said, friend, let's call him Jim, would not have touched Natalie with a 100-foot-long pole. He was, 1, gay, 2, hated Natalie. Despite these things, Jim believed strongly in charity. He volunteered at a food pantry for as long as I knew him. We haven't talked in almost a decade now, but last I heard, he still volunteers. Wow. I feel like this story is on par with the stories about, like, my husband stalked me before we got married. Not as bad, but like, she's up there. She is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, second update. Court update. Am I the a-hole because I call my psycho ex's unrelated child my naughter? The preliminary hearing on the new restraining order went well. Emma and Natalie were there, and we discovered that Emma is currently living with her great-grandmother and has a guardian ad litem, court-appointed guardian on legal matters. My lawyer thinks this means whatever was found in Natalie's home situation warranted removing Emma and potentially severe enough that the great-grandmother only has physical custody and the need to appoint a guardian ad litem. That is sad. Because imagine what they had to see in her household for them to remove the daughter and not even give the great-grandmother full legal rights. She's just there basically like physical custody, but she still don't even really have legal rights. Something is going on in that family. That's sad. During the hearing, we went through the whole song and dance, the past restraining orders, the whole deal. My lawyer turned to Emma's representative and said we were willing to submit a DNA test and put this to bed. Natalie looked like she was having a conniption at that, and her own lawyer urged her to shush. Emma's representative accepted, and we were cheek swabbed in the courthouse. Yay! A temporary order is now in place, while a second hearing is scheduled in the upcoming weeks for the permanent 2-year order. The order covers immediate family on both sides, and as I've detailed in the past, Natalie is actually good with following court orders. Oddly, we have about 4 weeks before we have the definitive test results back, but I'm not too worried either way. All right, so they finally got the paternity. Oh, man. What he mentioned though about oddly, she actually follows their restraining order. Something about her, it's like she does just enough for her not to get in legal trouble. Like she would never violate a restraining order because then, she could go to jail or whatever the consequences, but she does just enough. As soon as a restraining order is done, boom, she's right there. Yeah, this lady is unhinged. Okay, so let's go to the update, guys. 16 days ago, paternity update. We got the results in late last week, as did Emma's party. I am not the father. Yeah! Natalie had a major blow up when she heard the news from her grandmother, Sylvia. Emma's currently living at Sylvia's and is out of Natalie's custody. Why did she have did she really think? It sounds like she really deluded herself to think that he was the father. Because why are you having a blow up? You already know the truth. You already literally know you laid down with somebody else while he was gone and he's not the father. Maybe she was thinking maybe she was thinking if it was a couple weeks after he left and maybe, I don't know, but she's delusional for real. This blow up included a major tantrum on my front lawn, which also violated the temporary restraining order. Natalie has been arrested and Sylvia has not bailed her out. Sylvia has communicated to my lawyer that she wanted to give her apologies for bankrolling Natalie's life the past 15 years. You got your grandma paying your bills for 15 years. I only met Sylvia a few times when I was dating Natalie, and I know Natalie grew up with her, and Sylvia had money, but was never really told the extent of that. Sylvia has communicated via my lawyer, which is technically allowed with the restraining order in place, that both she and Emma want to send me an apology via a letter. Okay. I told my lawyer they were free to write whatever letters they wanted, as long as this was the last communication we had with them. The permanent restraining order is certainly going to be granted now, with the emergency one violated. We still don't know what caused Emma to be removed from Natalie's care, or if Natalie has any underlying issues. If we do get the letters, I will post them. Oh, wow. I have some questions though. So if Sylvia, Natalie's grandmother, if she was bankrolling her life, did she not ever go over to the house to see what was going? Did she not ever ask any questions like, what do you do all day? If I'm paying for all your bills, what do you do all day? Stalk OP, I guess. But she never went to go check and see what's going on, because for the child to be removed from the house, that means it was some stuff. I mean, either way, the child is out of that house. She finally has the truth. Hopefully, now they can figure out who her real father is. That's so sad. Like, I hate when women lie to their children about who their birth father is. I used to watch Paternity Court a lot back in the day, and this would happen so much. People would be in their like late 40s or even older, never having known who their real father is, go to paternity court, and the mom be like, well, there was 2 potential options. I just, well, back in the day, and they have all these excuses. It's so important to know your actual lineage, medically, relationally. What if you accidentally fall in love with a cousin? Because you don't know who your father is. I just don't understand how your own pride, or whatever the reason, can be greater than your child's needs as far as telling them the truth about their history. Anyways, let me see if this was 16 days ago. So you have an update? He has an update. Got the letters. Yeah. Got the letters. I got them on Friday after my lawyer read them and deemed them okay. Sylvia's letter was detailing Natalie had a rough family life, stuff I already knew about Natalie's father running out, then her mother leaving Sylvia to raise her. A lot of, I did my best with what I had. Sylvia detailed that her and Emma will be okay. She does still have money, not FU money, but enough that Emma will have enough to get a very decent jumpstart in life when she turns 18. That's good. Sylvia housed Natalie and Emma in a house she owned in the city, while Sylvia lived about an hour north out in the country. She sent Natalie money for expenses, and she saw them about 4 times a year: birthday, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. As to Emma's living situation, the only thing Sylvia said was the photo she saw of the city house broke her heart. Needless to say, Sylvia pledged to not enable Natalie anymore. Man, that poor girl. Emma's letter was a lot sadder. It started with, "Father who is not my father," which I found weird. She detailed how Natalie told her that if she behaved, I would accept her. What? How? This girl is gonna need therapy for the rest of her life, or for the next several years. The way that her mom has traumatized her is so sick and so sad. My acceptance of her hinged entirely on Emma doing as told. Emma said Sylvia has her in therapy, and that Natalie told them both that I was dodging the test using legal loopholes. She said seeing me suggest the test in person made her feel like Natalie was right. I was able to accept her. She felt happy and hopeful. When the results came in, she said that was worse than not knowing at all. She apologized for scaring my son, brother who is not my brother, as she said in the letter. There is a weird tone to her letter, and I feel like she is coming to terms with things. The letter did hurt to read, but both of them pledged to not interact with any of us anymore. Natalie is still in jail. Maybe it's finally over. I mean, it's a bittersweet update. OP is finally done, well, for now, done with these people. And the mom is in jail. The girl has been rescued essentially by the grandmother, and hopefully she will be taken care of for the next few years. She's in therapy, but it's just sad. Like this whole, like the way her mom lied to her and really made her believe that that was her father. Now she has to go on a whole new journey to find out who her actual father was, and who's to say that he's a deadbeat? What if he didn't even know? What if he wanted to be in her life all these years? But because of the selfishness of her mom, they both lost out on precious time. Well, I'm glad it's somewhat resolved. I wish all of them the best, except for Natalie. Natalie can rot. No, I wish her the best too. I hope she gets some therapy too, Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch to an all-women gym? I, 25 female, have been dating Ben, 27 male, for 3 months. Recently, Ben started expressing discomfort with me going to my regular co-ed gym. He says that it's normal for women with boyfriends to go to all women's gyms to avoid attention from other men and to make their partners feel more secure, and that his ex-girlfriend swapped gyms when they started dating. Boy, I know you lying. I know you lying. If you don't get so insecure, switch gym looking at out the way. Switch gyms for you because you're insecure? We only been together for 3 months. This is a huge red flag, a huge red flag. I've been going to this gym for about a year and I have a great routine, a supportive group of workout buddies, and I feel comfortable there. The idea of switching gyms just to make my boyfriend feel better doesn't sit right with me, as it shouldn't. I believe trust and respect are crucial in a relationship, and this feels like a lack of trust on his part. I tried explaining my perspective to him, but he insists that his request is reasonable and that I'm being inconsiderate of his feelings. Since we can't agree, we've come to Reddit for opinions as we don't want to involve our family and friends. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to switch to an all-woman gym to make my boyfriend more comfortable? No, not the a-hole. This is a huge red flag. At 27 years old, he's asking you to do this. I do think it's interesting that they essentially are both coming to Reddit to ask this question, but this is crazy. I feel like this is also the beginning of the end. It's only 3 months and he's already trying to dictate who you have relationships with, where you go, the places you are allowed to frequent, the things that make him more comfortable. 3 months in, definitely the beginning of the end. And Karen says, does he also expect you to work in an all-women profession? You must also, very soon, be expected to wear modest clothes since any show of skin attracts unwanted male gaze. So much care, it must be suffocating. OKC Worthiness says, I've legitimately had men express insecurities over me working with an all-male crew. WTF. It's like they think spicy videos are real, and when a woman walks onto a job site, it's instant nefarious after-work activities. Armin Apricot says, I've set foot in all-women gyms 3 times ever in my life, and they almost universally suck. Sure, gym bros are occasionally a bit irritating too. However, places like Anytime Fitness or similar, I've never once had anyone bother me while lifting or running. The handful of times I was in a women's gym, though, you could have cut the overall hostility and judgment with a knife. Oh, yikes. I don't think I've actually ever been to a women's gym. Good Focus 2665. If it was normal for women to switch to all women's gyms when they are in a relationship, there would be a heck of a lot more all women's gyms around, especially in the suburbs. My county doesn't even have one, and it's as suburbia as it can get. Not the a-hole, your boyfriend sounds like a controlling moron. You can do better. So she posted the update a few hours after that. Update, there are so many comments now, I can't possibly reply to them all. I wasn't expecting to get this many replies. I just wanted to thank you all for your thoughts and let you know, after reading and discussing the comments, we have decided it's best to end things. I feel the relationship won't be healthy, and he thinks he needs to work on himself before being in a relationship. I was pleasantly surprised by his ability to take criticism on board and hope this helps him become a better partner to someone in the future. I will be spending a lot more time in the gym now. I know that's right. Okay, well, at least that was a good ending. It was short and sweet. So that was actually the last main read of the video. I'm gonna go into the palate cleanser next. So just double check, make sure you're subscribed, come and join the Little Enzyme family. Also, I do want to start looking into merch for us all. Just need to figure out like designs, things that you might want to see on merch. So if you have any ideas, let me know down below and I will go into the last read of the video. This is from the r/Faith in Humanity subreddit. I left my iPad on the metro by accident. I've been having a horrible week. I've been coming off citalopram, horrible withdrawal symptoms, and then my friend was discovered in her apartment having passed from her own doing. I did not expect to read that. I'm genuinely hanging on by a thread. Wow, rest in peace to the friend. That's very sad. My brain is scattered and I keep forgetting things and getting lost in thought. So I got on the metro, subway, after a dollar store haul, and I had one big heavy bag in each hand, plus the little bag that contains my iPad, external battery, and headphones. I should have put it inside one of the big bags. I don't know why I didn't. I got to my stop, filled both hands, and stepped off. I did a quick check to make sure I had everything. Then my stomach froze when I realized I was missing the little iPad bag. The train was still there, but pulling away. I ran alongside, banging the windows, looking like a crazy person, but it was no good. Train gone, I raced upstairs and told the employee at the turnstiles what had happened. He called ahead 2 stations for someone to check. I waited, dizzy with panic, thinking about how much I needed that iPad and how I use it every single day for my work, how expensive it would be to replace, and how effed I would be if it was really gone. He got a call back and it wasn't there. I fully lost it, sobbing like a little kid. Not a proud moment, but it was just the very last straw. I trudged outside and got in line for my connecting bus, called my husband to break the news, and just wept. I was standing in line when a sweet teddy bear of a man in a rocker tee stepped in front of me with my little iPad bag swinging from his hand. He'd seen me blind with panic, hammering on the train windows. So he picked up the bag, got off at the next stop, turned around, and came back to try and find me. If I thought I'd been crying hard before, wow. I gave him the biggest hug and thanked him profusely. I offered him a reward and he said the hug was plenty. Someone did something similar for him once, he told me, so now I have at least 2 people to be grateful for. Since then, I've been the recipient of so many more kindness from strangers. Today, my phone died just as I was trying to get my free drink from Starbucks with the app, so the barista just gave me a freebie. People on public transit have offered me their seat. People have said kind things. One older man said I looked sad and gave me a Kit Kat sealed in the wrapper. He said he didn't know what was the matter, but that I should know there are still good people in the world. Yes! That's a great note to end off on. There are still good people in the world. We will just leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.